Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Bioscience Lessons. In this video we'll discuss about lipids definition and functions of lipid. So what is lipid? Lipid is a biomolecule. Molecules which are produced by living organism, and they are mostly carbon based organic molecules. Organic molecules are the molecules that contain carbon atom. When we say living organisms are made up of cells are the structural and functional unit of living organism. This cell contain various organelles like mitochondria, chloroplast, nucleus and all. These organelles are basically made up of biomolecules. We have carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, all these are biomolecules. Lipid is also a type of biomolecule. Next, lipids are heterogeneous group of organic compounds. When we will classify lipids, that time you will be able to identify these lipids are consist of diverse form of compound that will group together and form this large group of lipids. Generally, lipids are small in size and they have low molecular weight when compared to carbohydrate, proteins and lipids. And these lipids are not polymer. When we see carbohydrate, protein and nucleic acid, these are polymer in nature. When we see carbohydrate, we have monosaccharides that will join by glycosidic bond to form polysaccharide. So carbohydrates are also a type of polymer. And when we see protein, we have amino acids that will join together by peptide bond to form protein. So protein is a polymer of amino acids. Similarly, when we see nucleic acid, either DNA or RNA, they are consist of nucleotides which will join by 3'5' phosphodiester bond. So nucleic acid is also a type of polymer. But lipid is not a polymer. When we see lipid, we have fatty acids that are associated with lipid, but they will not join by in a chain form to form polymer. So lipids are not a polymer of fatty acid, they are associated with fatty acid. We can define lipid as organic substance because it contains carbon and carbon-hydrogen bond, and they are insoluble in water. Water is an inorganic solvent because it does not contain carbon, and these lipids are insoluble in water. Better we can say relatively insoluble in water because of the presence of hydrocarbon chain in the lipids. Like we have triglyceride which is insoluble in water, but when we see fatty acid, for example, we have RCOOH group. This R can be any hydrocarbon chain of different length which provides hydrophobic nature to the fatty acid. And this COOH, that is carboxyl group, will provide polar nature, that is hydrophilic nature, that is water loving nature to the fatty acid. So we can say this fatty acid is amphipathic in nature. Amphipathic means which has both polar and non-polar nature. So fatty acid is a amphipathic lipid, that means it has both polar and non-polar group. Similarly, we have cholesterol. It has a steroid nucleus that is hydrophobic in nature, and in the steroid ring we have third carbon that contains OH group which is polar in nature. So cholesterol is also amphipathic in nature. Similarly, we have phospholipid that contain glycerol with fatty acid plus phosphate and plus nitrogenous base. This phosphate and nitrogenous base are polar in nature, and this glycerol and fatty acid is non-polar in nature. Because of this, phospholipid are amphipathic in nature, and this amphipathic nature of the phospholipid helps in forming the lipid bilayer of cell membrane. Because of this, inside of the membrane we have fatty acid that will provide non-polar nature, and outside we have polar heads that will provide polar nature, and these polar heads will interact with the aqueous environment in which cell is present. So phospholipid is also amphibitic in nature, whereas this triglyceride is totally non-polar in nature. So that's why it is called relatively insoluble in water. So lipids are relatively insoluble in water, but lipids are soluble in organic solvent. Organic solvent means solvent that contains carbon like ether, alcohol, etc. And these lipids are associated with fatty acid. So fatty acid is also a type of lipid, but it's a type of derived lipid. Then we have triglyceride, which consists of fatty acid along with glycerol. Glycerol is a type of alcohol. So this triglyceride is a simple lipid. When triglyceride undergoes hydrolysis, that time fatty acid is produced. So that's why it is called derived lipid. Fatty acid is derived from triglyceride. When we have fatty acid along with alcohol plus other group, this other group can be phosphate or carbohydrate or protein, then it forms compound lipid. So we can see lipids are generally associated with fatty acid. This fatty acid is associated with the lipids, and fatty acid combined with different substances to form different types of lipid. Next we'll see functions of lipid. At first, we know that phospholipids and cholesterol are present in the cell membrane. This cholesterol is only present in animal cell, not in plant cell. And this phospholipid, because of the amphibitic nature, it is present in the cell membrane, and it provides cell membrane structure and permeability to the membrane. Next we have triacylglycerol, which is stored in the form of energy fuel in the adipose tissue in our body. This triacylglycerol undergoes hydrolysis to form fatty acid and glycerol, and this fatty acid will undergo beta oxidation to produce ATP. This triacylglycerol, when it is hydrolyzed, it produces 9 calories per gram. When carbohydrate or protein is hydrolyzed, it produces 4 calories per gram. So triglyceride produces more energy than compared to carbohydrates. Next we have cholesterol, which is a type of lipid, and it is an important precursor for the synthesis of steroid hormones like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and it is also an important precursor for bile acid. It is important for the digestion and absorption of lipids. Then cholesterol is also an important precursor for vitamin D synthesis. Lipid soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, K. We have arachidonic acid, which is a type of fatty acid. It consists of 20 carbon and 4 double bond is present, and it is an important precursor for the synthesis of eicosanoids. These eicosanoids are, we have different types of eicosanoids, for example prostaglandins, which are important mediator of inflammation. Lipid forms a protective layer around the vital organs of the body, for example kidney, and it protects it from any external injury. And lipid also act as an insulating material. It forms a layer below the skin and it maintains the internal temperature of the body. So that's it for the video. Hope you like this video. In the next video we will discuss about the classification of lipids. Thank you.